I had an agent that I was training, and his mother was in the business longer than him. And I said, when's the last time you called your past clients? When's the last time you talked to them? Like some of them was a year. And he goes, actually, some for a long time. I'm not exaggerating. She actually came to our office. And I still remember on the corner, I couldn't even get her off the phone because she had a better thing to say. She didn't want to come across as if, oh, now you're calling me and you want business, or my referrals. She wanted a different script. And I gave her a really nice one that still brought in business, but in an elegant way. I'm not exaggerating. She's on the phone, like calling everybody. So we have to learn what to say.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Vulcan7 Coaches and Mentors, where we bring you some of the best in the industry to share with you their tips and strategies so that you can implement them in your business immediately. Now, before I bring on today's guest, let me tell you a little bit about his background. So first of all, just in this first quarter of this year, he listed 51 for sale by owner. So 51 for sale by owner listings. He is an NLP trainer, certified and trained by the founders. He was formerly top 100 in the world in Remax. Now he is with eXp Realty. He's sold over 3,000 listings. And this coach is someone that you'll definitely want to make sure you listen to. So get your pen and paper ready, because with that being said, I'm going to bring him on, Richard Duggal. Welcome, Richard.
Great to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you on today's episode. Obviously, I just mentioned so many amazing things that you have been able to accomplish. So I just want to get right to it, because there's a lot of agents that are listening to this, and they probably want to have better communication, better confidence, and just be more influential when they're meeting with their clients. So for anyone that's listening that doesn't even know where to start, go ahead and just share with us, what is the first step agents need to start taking right now if they want to build the confidence to get more listings and get to your level?
It depends where they are, but this particular advice will apply to anybody. Is it you want to learn what to say, basically, because the secret of real estate, and I'm saying it is a secret because it's not really being told a lot or talked about, is the secret of real estate is mastering the language of real estate, mastering the language. Because if you send out flyers, they still have to call you, right? If you're on Facebook, whatever, and you're advertising houses, in the end, they still talk to you, still talking. So all that money you're spending on marketing, in the end, we still have to blah, blah, blah. So you have to master the blah, blah, blah. And if you're newer, then you want to learn the scripts. You have to learn those scripts because you want to learn what to say. And when you learn the scripts and you get confident in what you're saying, then what happens is your confidence increases. So they're both related. So here's an example. You're walking by, or you're driving by a for sale by owner, you see the sign. And if someone's new, so I remember when you were new and you may have had a bit of anxiety or, what do I say? And that's why you didn't go, right? You kept on walking. You go, I'm kind of busy right now because I have to go back to the office to deal with this offer. I'll be back. Did you really come back? So in this case, what would happen if you actually knew what to say? Now, what if that for sale by owner has a sign and on it says no realtors, or on the door, right? So but if you know what to say, even in that case, the reason I know is I coach people, I train them, and I tell them, this is what you say. And they go, oh, now I can do it. It's really easy, even past clients. Like, so I had an agent that I was training, and his mother was in the business longer than him. And she was, not prospecting a lot, whatever. And I said, when's the last time you called your past clients? Because she has a lot, being in the business a long time. And she said, well, I should call them. I should. That's usually the answer. And I understand that. And I said, when's the last time you talked to them? Like some of them was a year. And he goes, actually, some for a long time. I didn't want to press that. But I said, why do you call them and say this? And she said, yeah, I can say that. I'm not exaggerating. She actually came to our office. And I still remember on the corner, I couldn't even get her off the phone because she had a better thing to say. Because she didn't want to come across as if, oh, now you're calling me and you want business, or my referrals.
Yeah.
She wanted a different script. And I gave her a really nice one that still brought in business, but in an elegant way. And I'm not exaggerating. She's on the phone, like calling everybody. So we have to learn what to say.
Can you share with us what that script sounded like?
Well, in this particular case, it was, in that case, she hasn't spoken to people for a long time. So
Yeah.
I'll give you the elements of it. So it was like,
Mhm.
hey, how's everything going? More of a personal thing. But she said these words, I'm calling from my real estate office. Actually, from my office. Because and then what would happen is that you're already introducing the fact I'm in business now. I'm not, like cooking things as a housewife. I'm in business in my office. And then I said to her that to update some information, say, actually, I just changed to a new my office. I want you to make sure you have my number. And she introduced some information. And now there's a Starbucks nearby as well. So that was part of it is, come by sometime, wherever, blah, blah, blah. Come by and see me. There's a Starbucks. We'll meet. And another thing that I brought into the element was, why did she remember them? So that's another one, is why did you remember them? And so what she said is, hi, Mary, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, you know what? I was looking at some properties here in Pickering. And I remembered you. I got to come and see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I was actually going to come and knock on the door for a cup of tea. But I was with these people, my people. And now I got to call you. So what have you done? You showed them, you reminded them, but you put real estate within that. Now, someone here might say, but what if I didn't go, right? We're always looking at properties on the MLS, aren't we? Like, if you're not, you should be looking at your market. So you just say, I was looking at some properties and I remember, I thought about you. I haven't talked to you for a while. So it's almost like not a complete apology, but it's like, oops, I haven't called you. You know what I mean? So that was one. And then I gave somebody else one. Now that you're mentioning that, I want to show you a different one, completely different. Because I have 82 ways to approach any situation, any objection. I have 82 answers because I'm an NLP. I write scripts. I wrote them for the big companies, like the advanced ones. And they still ask me for those. And so another one is, hey, James, are you mad at me or what? You haven't called me. So you do the reverse psychology. And that'll be for a certain personality that will do that. Not everybody here is going to do that. But I gave that to someone who's kind of more bold and has that kind of sense of humor in their personality. That cheekiness, and they're kind of known for that. They just have that. So he did that. She's calling people instead of saying, I apologize, because the script's out there. I haven't talked to you for a while. He said, hey, are you mad at me? What's going on? You haven't called me. All my clients, they call me, they talk to me. You haven't talked to me. And you know what happens? The person goes, I know, I've been too busy. That's called reverse psychology. So there's a few examples. And as I coach with a client, we actually develop the scripts that will work for them. Because there's 4 personality styles, right? There's 4 personality styles. Basically, there's the driver personality, whose bottom line, that's the customer when you walk in and you've done your CMA, all the presentation on what sold in the area, all the technical stuff. And it's happened to all of us if you've been in business for a long time. The old Italian guy, right, goes, hey, forget about that. How much can I get? You don't want to even see it. That's a driver, bottom line. And then you get the amiable that wants to get to know you. Like, oh, Richard, you got children? Oh, yeah, let me show you a picture of mine. And they use the word feel. And they want to know, they want to feel they have a connection with you and a trust and a comfort with you. And that's when we lose listings. So a top agent who's selling all these houses and can say, I sold that, I sold this. And then they go with, Mary Lou. And you go, what happened? She didn't even sell anything. But they go, oh, we kind of like her. That's the amiable, right? And then you get the analytical, the engineer accountant type, who wants to know, he actually knows more than you sometimes what's going on in the area because he's been analyzing it. And so that person, you have to speak to them differently. And then you have the expressive, and that's someone who's the life of the party, talks a lot of high energy, talks a lot, but doesn't say much. The one, in the lady in the seminar who's got the big hair and the big earrings and wearing red, and the key to persuasion is not to judge. You just say, oh, that's the person. How do they want to hear this message? So what I do with my coaching clients, we not only adapt to that person's way of selling, then we adapt to the customer, but then we move to the word is called versatility, where I have my clients be able to speak differently themselves, like change themselves, the way they communicate based on that client.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because sometimes it's those little things, even the examples that you gave of the agent that hadn't called the past clients. We hear it all the time of agents say, well, I don't know what to say, or
Yeah,
what if they're going to think that I just want business? And sometimes it's just starting a conversation and just like you mentioned, saying things like, I'm here in my office. I wanted to update you with my new information.
yeah,
Um, and also knowing the personalities, it's extremely important
exactly.
who you're talking to. So, with that being said, at the start of the show, I mentioned you had in the first quarter of this year 51 for sale by owner listings, which is amazing. And I don't know if there's anybody else, probably not. You probably know. You might hold the record for the most for sale by owner listings, probably at this point, taking it in such a short period. So tell us, how did all of that happen, and what has stuck out to you the most in terms of, is there a specific personality type that you see mostly in for sale by owners?
Uh, this is really interesting because there's when people come for sale by owner, there's a meta program in NLP. It's really useful to know, and I want to make sure that this is not a conversation about blah blah blah. It's like I want people to have takeaways they can go use. So hopefully they've got a
Okay.
couple already. But here's one. So it's the way people make decisions, and this will help you your whole life with anybody. Forget about real estate, and then put real estate back in. So what happens is this is called external or internal. There's only two types, and it's how people make decisions. So people who are externally orientated before they make a decision, they're the ones that ask everyone's their opinion. Like I have a friend, he'll buy an iPhone and he'll call me even after, forget about even before, and say, what do you think of the iPhone versus the Samsung? And I'll go, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, oh, yeah, I bought an iPhone. I go, why are you calling me? Well, I still got the receipt. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that they'll call everybody I'll give you an example. So I have a mentor. I have coaches myself, and he was in Naples, in a beautiful house. I actually went to it, and so he walked in. It's a true story. His wife told us a story, and he said, "This is it. We're buying it." And his wife, who's Sabrina, said, "You haven't even seen the whole house." He goes, "This is the house." You see, he's internal. He makes decisions internally. He doesn't care about anyone's opinion. So think about a relative like that. They're internal. They just make decisions. And think about another relative or friend that is always asking everyone's opinion. They go, they're asking this person, that person, that person. So they make decisions outside themselves. So why is that important for sale by owners? Because for sale by owners tend to go more to internal. You know what I mean? Like I know what I'm doing. I'm fine in the beginning, especially, and some even continue that. They actually are special ways of speaking to internals that is like a lock. It just opens their brain. There's actually wording you can use, which is ridiculous. It's so easy once you just start saying these things and then they go, oh yeah, of course. So what you want to do is realize that the first sale by owner is internal at the beginning. Now, whether you're internal or external, what is the way you're wired? Because some people, but there's also something else. The less you know about a subject, the more external you'll become. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's say yourself, you want to learn about brain surgery and you don't know nothing. Maybe you do know a lot, Loida, but let's say you don't. And you go, how does that work? But if somebody asks a subject you're familiar with, I'm just making this up. Let's say Spanish cooking or Italian cooking. Let's say you went to school. Then you're internal. No one can tell you. I mean, you know about it.
Mhm.
So a lot of it depends on what you think of it. Now, if you look at for sale by owners, they tend to be internal, but it's called cognitive dissonance. They don't want to believe that they don't know because that means they need an agent. So it causes incongruence in them. So they actually are selling themselves on the idea that I don't need an agent. So they tend to be more internal. Does that make sense? Like, I know what I'm doing. Now, how about the person that says, I already sold a house before 3 years ago. I don't need an agent. See how internal that is? So it becomes even more internal. So you have to know who you're dealing with. So that there's 3 parts to being an influential person. It's a good time to bring that up. And you may never, anybody here may have never heard this before, because no one teaches persuasion in real estate properly. So not to the level that I'm going to talk about here. Is so number one, there's 3 parts. If anyone can think, what would they be? Okay, here they are. So number one is who you are. That means who you are, your own confidence, your beliefs, how you are behind the camera. Like, are you the same? Are you consistent? In other words, disciplined, self-disciplined. So how are you as a person? How do you come across, your energy level? Some people are playful. Some people have charisma. Is who you are. Does that make sense? Because you can have 3 people on the stage with the same script, whether they're singing or they're doing stand-up comedy, but it's who they are. They have the same jokes. Do you see why it's important, who they are? And then number 2 is persuasion and influence, like language patterns, like the one I mentioned before this call. The more you X, the more you Y is a language pattern, right? The more you prospect, the more money you'll make, right? The closer you listen to my advice, the better decision you'll end up making. Like, it's the more, the less, the less. It's a language pattern. Like, I got hundreds. So what happens is that's the persuasion part, the scripts, the persuasion, what you say, and even the strategy, of sending a pre-listing package before you go on the appointment, things like that. That's called strategy, persuasion, what we think about influence. But there's a third part, which is, we brought it up earlier, which is how to size. I just call it sizing people up. You notice people who are very good at selling and moving around and being influential, they know what you need to hear. They know this person needs this. This person needs recognition. So you're going to give him some recognition. And this person is a pity person. They're feeling sorry for themselves. So if you want rapport, you go, I don't know how you've done so well with what the obstacles you've had. So you get that rapport, right? So it's like, how to deal with different people. It's sizing them up. The analytical, there's different categories of reading people and actually profiling people, which I teach too. We had a little taste of it there. So what happens is that you've got now 3 elements. Now, which is the most important? It's actually number 1, which hardly anyone's working on it, is yourself, your voice control, your confidence, your mindset, the way you move, the way you present, your body language, all that stuff is working on yourself. So there's 3 parts to being influential. And the sizing people up, that's where we talk about the personality types, internal versus external. So this person, if they're really adamant that they are going to do it themselves and they don't need any help, just saying those scripts that we get online, like, if I could show you a way, blah, 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 it turns them right off. And everyone's using them. So the key that I do, is a person actually, he's number 13 in his national company. So he's really good already, number 13 ranked. And it's actually C21, so he's number 13. And he was taking a FSBO every now and then, one every 2 months. I'm not exaggerating. I had a 30-minute coaching call with him, 30 minutes. I got him from that to 3 FSBOs a month, taking 3 FSBOs a month immediately. And basically, I can tell you that what I just told him right now. We practiced it and how to do it. And this was it. You don't make them wrong. You don't make them wrong in your conversation and even in your own mind. Because in your own mind, if you go, that guy's an idiot trying to sell privately, then what happens is that I don't care what comes out. Remember, who you are shows up. So what happens is they can tell, right? So my attitude is this. This person's selling privately. They're doing the best they can based on the information available to them that they have access to or they decided to listen to or watch. So based on their information available to them, they made that decision. And then I tease myself. This is a while ago. I say, you know what? I'm pretty good at selling. Like, I sold encyclopedias. I've sold vacuum cleaners, where it's like a 1.5 months mortgage payment for each one, door to door, by the way. I've sold a lot of things. You'd be surprised. Even stun guns. I sold stun guns door to door. You know, stun guns? Like,
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, because where I am, you can actually, it wasn't illegal to sell them. You didn't have no license necessary. So we used to go into offices and businesses, not houses, and sell them, like sell stun guns. So, and then one day they said it's banned. Like, you know how the government sometimes